Hello everyone, I'm Elvis vs. the World, and today we are going to recap episode 6 of HBO Max's newest series titled Velma. Now for a brief recap, Daphne has finally found her biological parents, Fred is still trying to win the heart of Velma, Norval and Gigi are still going on strong. We also find out that Edna Perdue is a grandmother of Norval, and her lab was the one that Velma's mom, Dia Dinkley, was trying to find. Like always, thank you all for the support, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications, and let's get on to the episode. We go to Velma rushing out of her room because she needs to head to school early to meet with Principal Rogers, who is preparing to tell Velma the truth about Edna Perdue, who in fact is Principal Rogers' mother/Norval's grandmother. Velma's dad tells her that he's taking a paternity leave from the law firm so that he can spend more time with Sophie and the new baby. Velma starts her meeting with Principal Rogers as Gigi allows Norval to help Velma not hallucinate. Rogers tells the story of her mother, Edna Perdue, who was an amazing neurosurgeon who was so brilliant she even discovered how to keep the brain alive outside of a human. An army general by the name of Harry Meeting wanted to use this technology to spy on the quote-unquote meddling kids, which pays homage to the popular Scooby Doo phrase uttered by the villain. The meddling kids were an anti-war hipster movement that grew during the 1970s. According to General Meeting, the meddling kids were a disastrous movement that needed to be stopped. The general would often disguise himself and try to create plans to dissolve the movement, but his plans were foiled every time. Since his plans were not working, he would try to hypnotize the meddling kids, but it would prove unsuccessful because they would break out of hypnosis every time somebody nearby snapped their fingers. He tried to get Edna Perdue to create the perfect spy by putting one of the soldiers' brains into one of the meddling kids' brain for an initiative called Special Covert Operations Brain Initiative, which spells out Scooby. This show and their acronyms need work. Like, y'all couldn't find a word that starts with Y? Also, this idea sounds batshit crazy. Velma says, "What did Scooby do?" as a play on sentence to the initiative acronym in Scooby Doo. The attempts never worked and Edna Perdue went insane trying to figure out a solution, even barricading her lab so that her work wouldn't be replicated by anyone else. She checked herself into the Crystal Cove Insane Asylum where she spent the rest of her life until her passing. Velma theorizes that since her mom disappeared after finding the journal and that the girls that were murdered have had their brains removed also, there may be a connection in all of this. Just as Principal Rogers is about to show Velma a box that may show the key to the mystery, Velma hallucinates. We then go to Daphne, who is seemingly enjoying her time at the abandoned Crystal Cove mine, where she discovered her parents. She enters the mine and sees her dad and others collecting crystal mines and storing them in boxes. Darren tells the others not to say anything about why they really need Daphne. We then pan into his back pocket where we see the name Brenda on a cloth. Brenda was the first girl that was murdered as she was found after Velma opened her locker in the gym shower room. We then go to Velma waking up from hallucination as she had to be injected with adrenaline to wake up. Principal Rogers says that she isn't telling Velma anything else until her hallucinations stop. Norval and Velma try to investigate reasons as to why Velma keeps hallucinating. Velma says that they started a few days after her mom went missing as she was attempting to go look for her. Velma also recalls a time when her dad took her out to breakfast on the day the hallucinations started, as her dad ignored her for work call. Velma theorizes that her subconscious is keeping her from finding her mother, and that because she's been spending so much time looking for her, it upsets her dad since he thinks she just up and left. Velma and Norval try to solve Velma's daddy issues as Norval's dad pulls Norval away to help his mother's ex-boyfriend move. Amon is struggling to try to change Amanda's diaper as Sophie grills him not to answer his work cell phone. Velma tries to ask her dad a question, but he grabs Velma and his phone and bolts out the door, leaving Sophie and Amanda hanging. We go to Daphne's father, teaching Daphne about the ins and outs of the crystal mine. Darren and Carol explain to Daphne that crystals are just a hoax and that they just collected to scam people into believing it has powers. When the boom period ended, they all had to commit actual crimes to make ends meet, which is how Daphne's detective parents were able to take Daphne from them. Since there has been a resurgence of demand for the crystals, Darren and Carol plan to sell all the crystals and flee the country. This upsets Daphne as she just met them and vows to try to spend as much time before they flee. Amon uses having lunch with Velma at Nana's Nipples, a strip club/diner, as an excuse to check his work phone. They end up bonding on how annoyed they are with Sophie as Velma hopes she gets kicked out once she finds her mother. Velma pleads with her dad to believe her about her mom being kidnapped in order for her hallucinations to stop. Amon steps out to make more work calls as Velma runs into Fred. Fred tells Velma that her dad found out that he likes her and is trying to get his brain in check by exposing him to strip club. Fred's dad pops up and tells Velma to stay away from him and drags him out the club. Velma then goes on the pole and starts pole dancing as her dad walks back into the restaurant furious. Her dad says that he told Sophie that he needed to spend his paternity leave with Velma. Whitney Houston's Greatest Love of All plays to a montage of Velma and her dad spending time with each other, Daphne spending time with her parents, Norval spending time with his dad, dad, and Fred and his dad trying to get Fred to become quote-unquote normal again. Norval and a hungover Velma regroup at school to discuss her spending time with her dad, as Norval ignores a call from Gigi. Fred tells Velma to thank Amon because now he is dating one of the strippers from Nana's, and that her dad handled all the legal work. Velma confronts her dad about only wanting to spend time with her so he can work while she is at school. Velma bursts into Principal Rogers' office asking to see the box, since she is angry at her dad. Norval seems to have shifted his personality to a jock. Can't get any tougher than a leather jacket that says Mr. Bad Bear in the back. Principal Rogers opens the box to reveal a picture of her and her mom, Edna Perdue. He tells Velma that after her mom passed away, the house she lived at was put for sale and Fred's family purchased it. Dia became obsessed with finding out more about Edna Perdue and went through her journals extensively. She found out that Edna's lab was under the house, and she went to go sneak into the lab before Fred's family moved in. According to Principal Rogers, she may have been snatched by the ghost of Edna Perdue, which Velma does not buy. We then go to Daphne returning to the crystal mines, where she runs into her father. She notices that the crystals are gone and that her parents may be leaving for good. Daphne's dad said that she deserves better than them and then points a gun at Daphne. Darren tells Daphne that they've been using her this whole time. Daphne's parents, Donna and Linda Blake, pop in shooting the gun away from Darren and arresting all the members of the crystal mine gang. Donna discovers Brenda's tank top in Darren's back pocket, which shocks Daphne. Darren claims they found the shirt in the mines and they were using it as a rag. Flying bats distract Donna and Linda as Carol escapes. Velma goes to Fred's house to try to look for her mom in the basement. As Velma busts through the house, Fred's girlfriend runs out the house stealing some items that she will end up selling for money. Yeah, so she only dated him so that she can get his material stuff. We go to Norval's dad telling Norval that Gigi almost died from an allergic reaction due to the school running out of adrenaline shot. Norval sees multiple missed calls from Gigi as he snaps out of his jock persona. Well, finally. Fred and Velma search through the basement and run into the lab entrance. They see that the entrance is still bricked off. Fred pushes one of the bricks and the wall collapses on them. We then go back to the crystal mine entrance where Daphne is destroying some of the crystal. Daphne confronts her adopted parents about being stolen from her biological parent. They tell Daphne that they didn't steal her and that they took her in and adopted her after Darren and Carol abandoned her in order to escape the police. Amon ends up finding a passed out Velma in Fred's basement and apologizes to Velma for prioritizing work over her. Fred, Velma, and Amon go deeper into the basement as she sees footprints. Velma finds a note on the floor as we hear her iconic catchphrase, "Jinkies." Her hallucinations pop back up as she begs her dad to believe her that her mom was kidnapped. Amon sees a note with Jinkies on it as he ends up believing her and the hallucination goes away. The note slip was written in Dia's handwriting, which makes Amon believe that she was there as the episode ends. We go into the post-credit scene as Velma, Fred, and Amon are looking through the lab. Fred asks Velma why does making her laugh stop her hallucinations as well. She reveals to Fred and Amon that she kissed Daphne, as that also stopped her hallucinations, and plays coy about it when they act surprised about this information. We then see Carol escaping from the crystal mine cave, which reveals that the cave is indeed connected to the basement of the house. Carol picks up a chain and behind her is a man with a wielding helmet as he is holding a knife to her. That wraps up the episode. So I think these past two episodes have moved the story considerably. I personally thought that episodes 3 and 4 were kind of more slow paced, not filler, but not too crazy, but more of character development. But episode 5 and 6 definitely picked up the story. Interesting to see how this concludes as we get into episodes 7 and 8. Like always, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you give this video a like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, smash that subscribe button, turn on post notifications for any upcoming content. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.